Hey, everybody. I'm Jane.
And I'm Sarah.
And you're listening to the Medium Curious Podcast, the show that's bringing the afterlife into the lifey life.
That's good. I like that. Today's episode is called Medium Into It.
Are you into it?
Are you into it? Are you into your intuition?
Oh.
So it's tips on how to get in touch with your intuition, which is how we read energy as mediums and have so much fun in life. When you get in touch with your intuition, it makes life infinitely more joyful. Don't you think,
better.
Jane?
I
More
do.
better.
So Sarah's going to be our teacher.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Hey, Jane.
Oh, hi, Sarah.
It's been a couple of days, hasn't it?
It's been an eventful little time.
It's been a doozy. You want to share what's been going on?
Who follow us on Instagram and maybe even TikTok, where we got copycatted. I got spawned in multiple places. You guys, I guess this happens to mediums where, some creeper comes and steals your information and replicates you and then pretends to be you and then contacts your followers and says, do you want a reading? And someone actually paid the scammer, blammer, hater. I have words, but those aren't the words. Anyway, whatever this person did, they got paid by one of my friends and I'm just devastated. So we've been trying to dig out from that.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like whack-a-mole. So you grab one account, you're like, report this. Oh no, there's another. Oh no, they just kept popping up. It's just like, what is going on? It's like, don't you have to be famous for that?
We're not famous yet.
No.
Damn it. So we renamed the TikTok The Real Medium Curious. So if you follow us on TikTok, make sure you're following The Real Medium Curious, not the creeper that happens to have our faces and a bunch of other mediums that they've tortured.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's you can see each of their victims by
Down in the
scrolling back
feed.
through all of their posts. It's crazy.
They don't even bother to hide their tracks.
It's like this person has 500 and something posts and 50 followers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the posts are all different people.
And TikTok's like, are you the one? And then they blocked me, so I couldn't go and report. Anyway, enough about that. But
yes,
just to say, sweet listeners, follow The Real Medium Curious on TikTok. And I think we're finally okay on Instagram, but this is mid-March when we're recording this and we were just not having any fun with that. But,
I know. So how'd that make you feel, Jane? Did it make you feel like you're doing the right thing, pursuing your life of mediumship?
My entire weekend, the last couple of days, I almost threw up a couple times. I was so upset. But you know what? I was just saying this to you, Sarah. This is hard and weird, and this is also what happens. And I'm here for it. I was saying to my spirit team, okay, fine. If we have to have these tests, fine. I'm not backing down. I'm doing this, And
well, I like your resolve. I appreciate it.
Well, I just looked at a bunch of astrology and I am ruled by Jupiter, and that is a very optimistic planet.
Oh, I bet you I am too.
I'm gonna look you up, sis. I'm falling down astrology holes. It's so much fun. So
well,
me and
it's
Jupiter.
better than falling down the imposter hole on TikTok.
Creepers. Go away, bad actors. But how are you, Sarah? How are you doing?
Well, I'm excited to talk today about tips for getting in touch with your intuition.
Always on point. Always ready. I'm jumping in. All right, let's do it.
I figured I didn't need to talk about gum graft surgery, so.
Poor thing. You can barely talk right now because your gums are...
They're healing up. They're healing up. And hopefully I'll never have to have this done again. It's not been fun.
God bless you, sis. So now you want to talk tips.
Yes, that's way more exciting to me.
Okay. Oh, friend. Well, kick us off. Tell us what's in your mind and heart.
So I've had a couple of people ask, how do I get in touch with my intuition? Like, what is my intuition? Because I feel like somewhere along the way, I know definitely growing up as a kid, I was taught you have to know things for sure, like book things, like proof. You need to see it written down in a book, or it needs to be told to you by some credible institution for it to be policy, like
verified.
This is verified. This is what you do. And there was never any talk of like listening to my body for guidance and direction. And that really is what intuition is.
Do you think it's in the body?
Yeah. I mean, that's how I pick up on it in the body, not in my head. I mean, so there's the difference. There's what I think, my thought process, the story I've got going on in my head versus what I am picking up in my body.
Is it like a little antenna?
I think you feel it like it's a little antenna. I almost can feel like your little antenna go up.
Yeah,
I swear I can see it. And like,
I'm
I
sure
can see that information just get downloaded through that little antenna. I feel like mine comes into my gut. Like I feel it in my solar plexus.
I feel like it comes under the ground to find you.
It could. I suck up through my root system. Yeah.
You're the most grounded person I've ever met. I think we're yin and yang. I think it's really good. I'm like way up in the sky.
Well, how do you think of intuition? And because I know you use yours all the time.
I do. Well, it's like, it's so much discernment. And we talk about that a lot on this podcast. It's like, how do you discern what's true? And that for me is the intuition aspect of like, and lately I've been feeling like it's got a lot to do with making sure that I'm connected to a higher self, because I kind of need like that verification that you were talking about, but it's not through a book. It's through so like I have a process whereby I like kind of connect with what I perceive as my higher self. And I make sure that I'm operating from there before I sort of like, check my guidance system. So for me, intuition is like something I've been developing for many years now, but I actually have a thing where I use my head as a pendulum.
You told me this. This is so cool.
I haven't told the podcast listeners.
Some people actually use pendulums, but you're using your head like one.
Well, Adam was on a couple episodes ago or whenever, and he was talking about using a pendulum, and I use my head. So my yes is my head swings to the right and it goes to the left. Whoops. And I whack my microphone for no. And I've been doing this for about 10 years. I remember being at my former company writing emails to clients, and I would like ask myself, is this email ready to go? And then my head would like jerk to the whichever direction. And I always thought, look, my business partner would look at me and think I like had epilepsy or something. They're swinging my head like,
oh, wow.
I know.
That's very clear.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it is. I mean, it's very comforting. And so I love this episode because it's something that I've wanted for the rest of the world. Like, I want people to feel like they have an answer that's just so true for them. And of course, I'm going to pull divination cards, and I'm going to like for big decisions, whether I send an email, I probably just use my head. But I just want to say, like, I'll stack on other like affirmations of a thing just to feel like
I know that. I mean, there's been times in my life where I poll everybody I know. Hey, what should I pick? Which decision should I make? Okay.
Totally.
Mom says this, dad says that, sister says this, best friend says that,
Yes. Right.
So this is just pulling your higher self.
So then you say it happens in your body, but tell us more. Like, how do you tell us more about your tips for the intuition?
Okay. So I very much relate to the higher self that you were talking about. But the way I see that is, and it's such a much broader explanation. And I think I need to take several steps back in order to explain how I get to this, because it's really my whole worldview, my whole perspective of everything.
Oh my God. Here it is.
I know. Here it is. Okay. So it is knowing that I am spirit,
Right.
in a human body.
Mm-hmm.
So the human body part of myself, I feel like is within my spirit. Instead of my spirit within my human body, I feel like my human body is in my spirit. So my spiritual self, my soul self, my bigger self, my higher self is like infinite.
Right.
And so how I am as a human fits inside of that. So when I reach up there or reach down there or expand into my higher self or my spiritual self, that's where the guidance is.
I'm sorry, I'm going to take this to a cartoon or a TV show or something.
Did I lose you?
No, I always have to have a visual, right? So I was seeing you as like Fred Flintstone or your Wilma. Did she ever drive? Okay, I'm like really aging myself with the Flintstones, but look it up, young listeners. He would like drive and he would like paddle with his feet.
Yeah.
So the reason I say it's like, sometimes I think of the body like a car that we're driving.
Yes.
But you're saying that we're outside of the car. Like we're not inside that car. We are outside the car and we're infinitely going in all those directions. And so it's like a reversal image swap for me.
Yes.
Which I like.
Yeah. But then if you think about what it means to be that big as spirit, you're infinite. You're part of the universe. You are the universe. You have access to everything. You have access to all the information. You have access to all the wisdom. You've got access to, and this just really kind of hit me recently, the abundance. Right? That you have access to the greater good of all that is because you are a part of that. So that is when I tap into higher self, that is how I see it. And that's how I tap into my intuition is through my higher self, but that's how I feel the higher self. But also
amazing.
How I get to that is what I've shifted in my little human brain. Because, we have these little human stories with our little human, like the victimhood, the roles that we play, the situations that we've endured. All of that is going on in our heads all the time. And when I became aware that I was having these thoughts all the time, I would have conversations with myself trying to convince people that I'd never had a conversation with of something that...
Oh, like invisible conversations with them?
Yeah.
Those are fun.
Yeah. And then I was like, what? And then I talked to myself, Sarah, do you know what you're doing? You're having a conversation.
That this person needs to hear?
Right. Like, let's stop that conversation. Let's create some space in there.
Totally. That's some humaning.
And then when you have that space, when you're walking down the street, and I know I've said this on here before because I'm having deja vu.
That you have, but go do it.
Because I spend a lot of time walking and I think it's great. It's another form of meditation when you're walking and you're realizing what your thoughts are.
Yeah.
Then you can, I think about me being a spirit, getting to experience my life in this little body that I have right now. And like sometimes, I don't know if it's like a kundalini awakening or what it is, but like my whole body will just be like, whoa! And it's just from the joy of realizing that I'm a spirit in a human body, getting to experience like the sun streaming through the leaves, or watching the dewdrop on the flowers and watching my dog run through them and like shake it all off. Like those are the kind of moments. And I guess that's being in the present moment, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was just saying that, but you know how like every Hallmark card and like every meme that comes through like the spiritual leaders, it's all about being in the present. And like, yes,
it's true.
But
it's true.
Your version of the present is way more gorgeous. Like what you just painted. Like I've always been like, yeah, the present, blah, blah, blah. And I do it too, because I am an appreciator of beauty, and I think that takes me to the present. But the way you just described it and the way you just brought it through is like 1,000 times better. Like there's something about what you just transmitted feels like so up leveled, I think. So it's like, yeah, you're entering the present moment, but you just like blew all my circuits talking about how you do it.
But I think the thing for me, connecting the dots for me, was to think of myself as spirit,
right?
Experiencing life in the present moment in this body.
Exactly. So that reversal that I have to keep kind of like going, whoa, 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 is it's like this huge, huge spirit being funneled like into this tiny little body so that it can see dewdrops and feel sun on face and eat scones. My God, I love scones. I will travel to the UK right now just to eat a scone. Because I can't eat them in the US because of our stupid food system. Oh, no, I guess I'm a little hungry. Yes, but that's it, right? It's all of it. It's all the sensory magic and also the human drama, like being attacked by a TikTok jackass.
Yeah.
Like I was so in it yesterday and like crying and almost throwing up.
Too.
Oh, honey.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, does this matter? And then I'm like,
I mean, the bottom line is no,
but I did have to text all my friends.
All those feelings, right? All those feelings come up. Yeah.
Feelings. And I did go to the Juice Co. and get a smoothie bowl, which I will put on TikTok.
That sounds delightful.
It was so GD good. But it was like, okay, you are having all your feelings and you're going to eat some. That's fine too. And like just all the humaning that had to go on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was really fun because someone was telling me.
We're here for that. We're here for the humaning.
Yeah.
For the humaning.
Someone was saying, oh, it really hurts.
As a spirit.
Exactly. So to that point, we also are going to have shitty things happen and painful things happen.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit like with a friend of mine or someone I know from the program was like, oh, this really hurts. And I was like, but it would be so boring if it didn't hurt sometimes.
Yeah.
It's not all just dewdrops and sunlight. It is also like stupid scammers.
I mean, and I was also having those thoughts being like, and my mouth really hurts.
Oh, honey,
if anybody's ever had gum graft surgery, you understand how painful that is. So, I mean, all of those thoughts like run through my head. Wow. Like the pain of that, like just getting curious about the pain somehow helps, somehow takes it away and makes it. So I think that's the thing. I think finding curiosity about whatever it is that you're going through, like, I was sitting there thinking about like these TikTok scammers and I was getting curious like about all of it.
Yeah.
I think if you move away from judgment, seeing everything with judgment and move towards looking at things with curiosity, if you frame it in that different perspective, it makes all the world of difference. And that's when you are available to get things intuitively.
Wait, so you're saying my intuition is going to get shut off because I'm still judging them?
No, we're human. I'm just saying, like, there's different ways to look at it. Like, sure, there's going to definitely be the judgment in there because we're human.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of what Kim Rhodes said back on episode 6, where she was like, how did she say it? That spirit told her that they can only make as much room. They can only come in as much as she makes room for them.
Yeah.
Or for spirit. She said it really eloquently. So that's, I think what you're saying is like, yeah, you can have your judgment and you can have your anger and your resentment and your humaning, but the sooner you can kind of get curious and feel it and move into it and move it out essentially like of the stream, then the sooner you can have that access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I think that's shifting your mindset in your life in general, right? Like moving through the different transitions of being human, because being human is a ton of transitions. Like being human is all transition. And the variations in those transition is what gives you both beauty and pleasure and also grief and all those other things.
Contrast. Yeah.
Contrast. It's a contrast, right?
And so just to understand, like, this is a little bit your episode. Like, you're like, let's give intuition tips. I'm like, I'm here for it. But so it's sort of like one of the benefits of mediuming for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you say more about that?
One of the benefits of mediuming for me is
the verb to medium.
I like it. It feels better than mediumship for some reason. Mediuming for me is knowing that I'm spirit having a human experiencing. And then when I'm doing that, I just lost my train of thought there.
It's coming back. Here it comes. Choo-choo.
Wonder and awe. That's it. Oh, that's the thing. Is. Wonder and awe. Yeah.
Right. Which is what you just described. Your present moment was being in wonder and in awe. Yeah. You're like, I was seeing you see that dew in like slow motion, like.
And I was. Oh, well, here's the other thing too. So somewhere along the road, we were told not to believe in our imaginations.
Right. Okay.
So a lot of intuitive information people confuse with their imagination. Because I don't know if it's that people think that their imaginations are wrong or if, it's such a dig to say, oh, well, you just imagine that, or that's your imaginary friend, or dream on, you've heard all of those things, right? Growing up as a kid.
Totally. Oh my gosh. Bookmark that, because we're going to talk about imaginary friends on another episode.
Oh yeah.
It's such a rich, beautiful thing, but you're right. It's like the imagination is villainized. It's like imagination equals bad because that's actually where it all is.
That's where it all is. So in so much of this work, like all of these meditations that we do, these guided meditations, it is using our imagination to get in touch with our energetic system.
Totally. Well, also and just to be that guy and plug my Substack for a second in the show notes, I did write an essay about this one time our teacher took us to Summerland. And it was like very Flights of Fancy, imaginative moment where I was like wandering around in Summerland, which is the other side. And I ran into some people that I know on the other side who I hadn't heard from in mediumship practice. And we chatted all in my mind, all in my imagination, but 100% that was a visitation. It was.
Yeah.
So you're right. It's the vehicle. Well, not to use more Flintstones analogies, but like it's the way in, or it's one of the ways we experience it. Is I think what you're saying is using the imagination as like one of the pathways in.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing for me for mediumshipping is that where I have a sitter. They're sitting there. I've never met them before, but I will know what their tattoo that they got on the middle of their arm says. So there's those, there are those things.
Oh my gosh. One of my favorite readings in the very early days, my friend Catherine said, you can practice on me. I was like, okay. And I was like, why are we talking about Elvis? And I'm seeing a lightning bolt. He's got a tattoo of a lightning bolt. It was epic. She was like, right. Yes. And he looked like Elvis. Yes. And I was like, and he's driving a 50s car. And she's like, yes. But he was a very strong spirit and he had a very clear signal. So anyway.
But if that was in your imagination, which it was, because it seems just like it's all in your imagination.
That's right.
Yeah. It's proof that your imagination's right.
So this is the game, right? It's like, okay, I actually play this game a lot with my kid too, if he's willing sometimes, is I'll say like, well, what do you think? We talked about this, like, what time is it? And he has to tell me first, or he'll ask me a question. I'll be like, ask yourself first, or push yourself to be in the knowing. And then when you know, you can stop asking your mom. So parents out there everywhere, teach your kids to tune into their intuition, because we do know.
Yeah.
In our house, we always joke, well, what did the psychic powers say? And my husband's super psychic. So,
oh yeah,
like, yeah,
I know he is.
He's a
but I'm
Pisces.
just saying, oh yeah, yeah.
He's like such a dreamy Pisces. So yeah.
Well, he got a little cute psychic hit yesterday, right? You want to tell us about that?
About the cinnamon in it?
Yes.
So I was just like marrying some like Costco cinnamon into the like fancy cinnamon bottle, like not truthful. And I was and it was going knock, 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 knock. And he was just resting on the couch dealing with a headache. And he's like, what is that sound? I was like, dig, 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 with the thing. And I was like, you tell me. And he was like, you're moving one thing to another. And I was like, yes. And then I finished and he goes, it's a spice. And I was like, nice. I was like, yes. And I go, which one? And he's like, cinnamon. And then even with the headache, he's like, victory arms. He's like, yeah. He's like,
it's so fun. It is so fun.
Yeah.
So playful. Okay. So here you can test yourself. I mean, you can make it fun. You can make tuning into your intuition fun. So I think it's more powerful when you have a meditation practice, because when you get into that zone where your mind is calm and your mind is clear and you're just tuned in, I will ask for something. I was like, I'll say, give me something to look for during the day.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah. I'll tell you about this. This one still blows my mind. I was meditating in the morning I usually wake up before my kids get up, and I will, what do you call it? Meditate. Yeah. I'll meditate.
You're a meditator.
I'm a meditator. Yeah.
I love that.
Because, you can't sleep in any longer. Because let me tell you, I would sleep. If I could choose meditating or sleeping, I would choose sleep. But I'm awake. Everybody's still asleep. So I meditate. Then I asked for like, show me something that I can look for today. And I saw two men in they were like bowling hats or top hats, with like black with wide brims.
Yeah.
And then I heard the name Malik.
What?
I was like, whoa, I don't know that name. I don't know anybody with that name. I have no idea what that name is. So I went throughout my day and, didn't really think about it, but then was watching the news because my husband had taken my boy skiing. So I was paying attention to the weather, and if it was going to be snowing. And I saw these two gentlemen on the ski hill. I was like, oh, skiing, I'm going to pay attention. And they had on hats just like that. Like,
whoa.
Yeah, which was like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. I was like, there it is. It blows my mind. That's not the end of the story, though.
Oh, no, because you're the triple play Rathke. Go ahead. Keep going.
So then my kids, it was like winter break or something. And I was looking for stuff to do. So we went and saw the Angela Davis exhibit. This was, I think, a year ago at the Oakland Museum. And I was in there and I heard the name Malik. I was like,
oh my God.
Whoa, I'm supposed to pay attention. I was like, okay, looked around. And there was one of the gentlemen who I'd seen on the news with the hat on. And I was like, what? Mind blown. So those are the kind of little fun things.
Little? Are you crazy?
that you can play with. I mean, but you have to be aware and you have to be looking.
Right.
Because if I wasn't looking and had it in my awareness that I was going to be looking for men with hats, and if I had forgotten the name Malik, then I would, not have, paid attention when I heard that.
But these were different days, right? So you saw the hats on the ski hill.
Yeah.
And then a week later or something was
wow.
My God. I love that so much.
And it took place over time.
Well, it's just fun, right? Because you're developing your intuition, which is, I think, kind of like in conversation with yourself, your higher self, or the bigger, we don't really freaking know who you're in conversation with, but you're sure that
higher
self. Higher self. But then that's what we get to do when we have we do readings where a lot of times I'll say, what's your sign? And like, not astrology, but like, I'll ask the spirit, like, how do you come through for my person? That's it, my sitter. And then I'll have them tell me and I'll go, you'll understand that birds represent so-and-so. And they'll be like, yeah, they come through and they're always tweeting at me or whatever. That's their cardinals or whatever. So, and sometimes they haven't developed that yet. They don't have their like kind of sign for their person. So this leads me to my little story about, so again, to the benefits, right? So what we're really pitching here is like the benefits of developing your intuition is that you are tuned into so much magic. And so you guys have already heard quite a bit about my father-in-law on the other side. And many, many years ago after he crossed, I think it was like a year after he crossed, my sister-in-law like did a call-in show. There's like a medium on the radio. And so my sister-in-law called in and like the first thing the medium said was, oh, I'm just getting so many chills right now. Are you getting them? But she goes, there are tons of golf courses on the other side. That was like, drop the mic. She just immediately like
she got him.
We were locked in. We were like, well, she clearly knows him. She's got him, right? Like, yes, that's all he cared about on this side. Yeah. So we know that, and I've shared this before, that he's around when there is golfing happening. And we've identified these little tiny white butterflies that flit around as him because it's almost like they've white flight, like a golf ball. Like, so we're like, oh, this little white flight is the little golf ball. And that's Papa Joe, right? I'm getting to so the other day, tournament day, my son has hit a ball into like the biggest mess. It's like, oh my God, there's no way you're going to find a ball in this. Like, it's like, you pretty much just, for golfers, you understand, you just drop, you stroke because you've lost it in the gack. But this white butterfly showed up and circled and circled and circled, came back to where my son was, circled and circled around a particular spot over the ball, you guys.
Oh, no way.
True story. So my son goes over, sees the ball and is able to hit it out and not lose a stroke.
Oh my goodness.
Him telling us that story like blew my mind. Because he goes, I don't really believe in this stuff. I don't believe in this stuff. But
yeah, sure you don't.
But then, he knew to look for it. And I think that's our point, right? Is that, that, and like, it was when he went on a really good tear of a bunch of good holes. He was like so lifted up knowing that his grandfather, who P.S. he's never met.
Oh,
I know. Was like with him and showing him where the ball.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, we did it again, Sarah.
Oh yeah. We're some chatty people over here.
Chatty mediumers.
Yeah. Mediumers.
So do you feel like you've gotten your tips through? You want to recap your tips?
Okay. Well, there's so many more tips. But I think
tips part one was just your perspective in life, your overall perspective in life. It's needing to know that you are spirit in the human form and that you're so much more than just your human body. So I think when you really start to think about that, when you really start to embody that, when you really start to think about the wonder that's in that, that's when you start to engage all your senses. Yeah. And that's another part of it too. It's like engaging all of your senses. Like when you're walking, feeling your feet on the ground and, feeling the air on your skin and listening to the sound of the birds or the traffic or the kids laughing. It's all of those things. Like you're engaging all of your senses and not just fixated with the story that's going on in your mind. Right. Not just the sense of mind, sense of self.
Yeah. It's not the sense.
Yeah.
Your thinking is not one of the senses.
And the invisible conversations.
Yeah.
Well, that's really beautiful, Sarah. Thank you for taking us on the tips part one journey. And we'll come back to this because it is so important and it is such a fundamental and how if one is interested in being a mediumer and doing some mediuming, then this is a great place to start. And if they're not, it's still so extraordinarily special because you get to have internal answers. And you don't have to call mediums and psychics because we're just putting ourselves out of business.
It's just a fun way to move through life. I think it just makes everything so much more fun, enjoyable.
Yeah. And you
magical.
have like perspective. You can get out back and be in that bigger picture and look down at your little humaning and go like, aw.
Well, I think it offers you compassion too for yourself. Like when you can look down at your little human self and be like, oh, honey.
Yeah.
That was hard. Little toddler. It was hard. It was hard fighting those TikTokers, imposters.
Bastards. Oh, well, cool. Yeah, I already feel better. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for this time together. Very special. And listeners, just so you know, we're having a ton of fun, even though social media is trying to kill us. We are chatting with our listeners on TikTok and on Instagram, especially like whatever your questions are, we're going to answer them, whatever you want to hear about on the podcast. And we just can't wait to keep doing that.
Love you, Jane. Love everyone else.
Love you. Love everyone else. Bye. Medium Curious is made possible
by Jane Morgan Editing.
Sarah Rathke made the amazing music.
And Gigi Hawkins, podcast consultant.
Mix by Podcast Engineers. Our logo was created by Eric Allen.
Kyle Hansen McKee, photography.
And the dogs under the desk in Hawaii are Kalea and Domino.
And Trixie in California.